Kerry signed the deal. Trump killed it. And the Strait didn't notice either move. Right now, in a comment section somewhere, two people are arguing about which of those names is responsible for what is happening in Hormuz. One blames the diplomacy and one blames the pressure campaign. Both are performing the exact trap that this audit is about. CSIS Director Daniel Byman identified what he calls the credibility trap. Every threat that outpaces political support becomes a bluff, and every bluff convinces Iran that the next red line also is not real. The political signal loses value faster than the military budget can replace it. Jahara Matisik ran the cost audit, $50,000 to deploy the disruption and $4 million to intercept it. That's an 80-to-1 ratio. Disruption, it's cheap, and protection, it's expensive. The credibility trap doesn't just describe what happens when a bluff fails. It describes what happens to every leader who enters this equation, regardless of strategy, regardless of party, and regardless of intent. The trap processes them all the same way. July 14th, 2015. Secretary of State John Kerry signs the JCPOA, also known as the Iran nuclear deal. The theory? It was surgical. Remove nuclear justification, reduce political temperature. Let the confidence return to the shipping lanes. The structural result was precise. The Strait was still 21 miles wide at its narrowest. Marine underwriters still priced the physical threat. A contact mine cost as little as $1,500 to deploy. And in 1988, a single Iranian mine struck the USS Samuel B. Roberts. The repair bill came to $90 million. That's $250 million in today's money. One mine, one ship. Kerry's signature changed neither number. The credibility trap doesn't respond to diplomacy, it responds to physics. The ceiling held. Fast forward to 2026 and the deal is dead. Maximum pressure replaces diplomacy. Sanctions, naval deployments, targeted strikes. The theory was the inverse of Kerry's. If diplomacy cannot force structural compliance, the economic stranglehold will. The structural result was the same, but with a secondary effect. Pressure didn't reduce the threat vectors, it distributed them. A constrained state doesn't demobilize, it proxies. What we have identified here is the Houthi Multiplier. A backup force activates in a secondary threat zone under existing pressure. The insurance markets responded to Trump's campaign the same way that they did to Kerry's deal. The ceiling held. For some context, let's go ahead and look back at the Volstead Act. This was total federal authority to eliminate alcohol distribution in the USA. There was 177 prohibition agents, and there was 30,000 speakeasies. The mandate was complete. The enforcement, physics, well, they were distributed. The law, it hit its ceiling in just 3 years. The speakeasies were not only a rebellion, they were a structural response to a centralized mandate that outran its enforcement reality. Distributed and cheap always defeats centralized and expensive. Here at the lab, we're identifying a structural pattern across all of these cases, and we call it the mandate ceiling. The mandate ceiling is the coordinate where political authority ends and structural constraints begin. It's not a policy failure, it's not a personality failure. It is the point at which the physics of the system exceed the reach of any mandate that attempts to govern it. Reagan, he hit it in the 1980s, and Kerry hit it at the negotiating table in 2015. Trump hit it at the sanctions desk in 2026. 3 administrations, 2 opposing doctrines, and 4 decades of the same pattern. 0 structural change. The ceiling coordinates are fixed. 26 degrees north, 56 degrees east. No election moves that line. Which raises the question that every policymaker asks eventually, and then rarely answers publicly. If 3 administrations across 4 decades couldn't change this, well, then what exactly are we up against? It's not the politics, not the personalities. It's the anatomy of the choke point itself, and why this math is locked. Profit? It's not a happy accident, it's a system. Follow for more.